Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal, where, as you can see, I'm joined by James Benge of CBS for this week's episode of Inside Arsenal Extra Time. James, how are you getting on, mate?
I'm very well. International break lull is hitting me hard, but Premier League is always on hand for random bits of charges and all that sort of nonsense. So that's kept me going, and I'm eagerly awaiting the return of the Champions League next week. So it's feels like the calm before the storm. And actually, looking above me right now, there may well be a storm coming.
There is a storm coming, mate. I live not so far from the Wentworth Golf Estate, probably about half an hour away, and I was watching the golf just before I did this, before I came on to you, and the golf has just been suspended for threat of lightning. So, So yes, there is definitely storm clouds hanging. There's storm clouds potentially hanging over Chelsea, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show. Big news breaking today in the world of the Premier League and some Chelsea charges. So I'm sure we'll talk about that. It's your field there. I know you love to get stuck into that sort of stuff. So we'll talk about that a bit later on in the show. We're going to talk about Nottingham Forest, of course, only 2 days to go until the Arsenal are back. Early kickoff on Saturday. Hopefully they give us a nice start to the weekend. We'll talk about that. We're going to go through our 11s. I think we've both drawn up 11s a week before in that game. We've got plenty of questions. As always, thank you to everyone for getting in touch and sending in your questions. I've pulled some of those together and they'll be included in the show a little bit later on as well. So plenty to get stuck into. But first, let's quickly go back over the international break, mate. It was good for Arsenal, wasn't it? And there was lots of good performances from players coming back confident. Everyone's come back injured. Not injured, I should say, which is very, very rare when it comes to Arsenal and the international break. Everyone, I saw the Sky Sports cameras down the training ground today, and they were showing everyone. I think Hincapié was doing the whole new sign-in run through the players' tunnel, slapping him on the back. And I spotted every single player that had been on international duty was back in that and on the training pitch. So that's good news. So yeah, it was a good international break, wasn't it? Some really sort of standout performances from some Arsenal players.
Yeah, I really, I mean, you have to say Mikel Merino, of course. It's brilliant. And I is that drilling behind me too loud, or are we?
I can't hear it, mate. I can't hear it.
Oh, that's perfect. This is nothing like our previous failed attempts. I mean, Mikel Merino, wonderful, and to do it against a good team like Turkey. I confess I didn't watch that game, although I sort of caught the highlights and think Spain looked brilliant. For me, Noni Madueke as well. What a performance against Serbia, and what a performance by England as a whole as well. It was something to get you incredibly excited about the future with Thomas Tuchel, but also just everything that Madueke could do. It feels like, this is what I said when he arrived in the summer. I said the data is sort of projecting someone that could really take a leap, that only needs to add a bit more composure maybe in front of goal. I mean, and the composure for that finish off the Morgan Rogers through ball, things like that. Feels like Arsenal could look back on the Madueke bit of business and go, we've done something very smart here. And that England and Thomas Tuchel could look at that and go, I'm really glad he's landed it at Arsenal, like a good environment for him to develop, and he can be both cover for Bukayo Saka this weekend and who knows, maybe a left winger that will start for Arsenal and England, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great goal, great finish. Love the drive into the box. He's a really interesting player, Madueke. I've been really impressed, I have to say. And I was one of the doubters in the summer. I certainly wasn't one of the ones who was signing signatures on petitions, which is just ridiculously stupid. But there was definitely doubters about the signings. I had those myself, but I've been really impressed by what I've seen so far from him, what he's done on the pitch. Sort of bravery shows when he's on the ball is really, really good. Even when it doesn't quite work out, it won't stop him trying it again. I thought that because I thought for the first sort of 15 minutes in the England game in midweek, there was times when things didn't sort of work out for him. He was making runs, he wasn't getting fouled. He let one roll under his foot and it went off to a throw in and all that sort of stuff. But he didn't go into his shell at all from any of that. He just kept going, kept trying to beat his man, beat his fullback, making the runs, even when he wasn't being found. And obviously it paid off with the run that he made when Rogers, lovely by Rogers, by the way, brilliant. Rogers, great finish from Madueke as well. And he's clearly got something about him. And when you sort of look back on the last few years, I mean, managers want to play him, don't they? Even Maresca last season played him a lot. He played more than any of the other Chelsea attackers, I think, the sort of wide attackers last season. And Maresca even played him even in his final season at Chelsea when you know, a lot of people look back at that and think, oh, Chelsea sort of dumped him, they got rid of him, but it wasn't like he wasn't playing before they sold him. He played a lot. Arteta obviously sees something in him. Tuchel really sees something in him. Definitely sees something in him, and he's repaying him. So yeah, fair play, and hopefully he'll come back really, really boosted by that. I mean, he must. I mean, it's real confidence, not just for him. Like you said, Mourinho's going to be full of confidence. 4 goals in 2 games for him over the international break.
Not bad for a defensive midfielder.
Not bad for a defensive midfielder, isn't it? I mean, damn, those Spanish playing 3 defensive midfielders against how have they done that? What would Gary Neville say? But yeah, he's going to come back confident. Declan Rice got a couple of assists and a goal as well. Martin Odegaard, that was some performance from him against
Moldova.
It was Moldova. I mean, Haaland obviously got the headlines for 5 goals. Ridiculous. And Asgard, who I'm convinced is a character in Lord of the Rings, came off the bench to score 4. But yeah, Odegaard was really. Did you see the sort of compilation packages of his performance? I know it was against Moldova before people get in the comments and stuff, but did you watch it? The compilation, some brilliant stuff there.
It was filthy. And you know what? Like, I think there's a thing for Odegaard right now after what's been like a trying year. And I know he sort of tried to brush off all the captaincy stuff, but I don't think it's true that he's as unbothered by it as he claimed. It's been tough, like tough form, injuries. Probably didn't sleep very well last season for reasons that anyone that's had a child will know. All that stuff. I think it must be great for him to just get on a football pitch and enjoy kicking a ball about and running up the goals. There weren't many opportunities to do that. And so, yeah, you kind of can at least be confident that Odegaard will come back with a smile on his face. And I wouldn't normally, you know me, Charles, I wouldn't normally do many other Arsenal shows, because Andrew and Elliot just don't ask as often as they used to. But I was chatting with Jacob Hawley on the Arsenal Opinion podcast, and one of the things he said that really struck me was that it seems like it's been a while since Odegaard's been smiling on a football pitch.
Yeah.
And I think if Arsenal could get that Martin Odegaard, I think you'd sort of see the goals and assists numbers would creep up as well, along with that smile.
Got a good haircut now. I like his haircut. Is it? I think that's that's the sort of boost he needed. All he needs to do is shave off the goatee. I've had a fair few debates on the Discord about this week about Mike Odegaard's goatee, and
it's got to go.
It's got to go. I did sort of caveat it by saying I think I'm just jealous of anyone with hair, but it's terrible. But I do like his new haircut, and I'm thinking he just looks. I don't know. He looks meaner. He looks ready to make a mark, I think, this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Well, on the subject of all things Norse, it looks a bit like, it's maybe a niche reference for you, but any MCU fans out there will know the moment in the 3rd Thor film, Thor Ragnarok, where Thor gets his golden locks chopped off into a sort of crop cut, a bit like mine, really, I would say.
Are you comparing yourself to Thor, James?
No, to Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, okay. It's even worse.
Important to say, because in some, if you like play God of War, Thor is not the Adonis that Chris Hemsworth is. But yeah, he comes out, smashes the Hulk up, and I hope that Martin Odegaard has had the same hairdresser, the same cut, and he's going to come in with the same vibe.
Yeah, hopefully so. Big rumble of thunder has just rumbled over my house as you were talking about Thor and goddesses or gods and stuff like that. It's almost
incredible if this is like how we prove that the Norse pantheon is the official gods, like on the Inside Arsenal Extra Time podcast.
Absolutely. So yeah, it is really good international break. And do you think, because I think you can read into that a little bit. I do think it's going to be beneficial to Arsenal after that. Players coming back boosted by a good international break, and some players have been rested as well. Neither of the 2 Gabbies played for Brazil. I know they've got a long flight home and all of that, so it is going to be tested on them. But they didn't have a second 90 minutes in their legs for the second game. Calafiori didn't play the second game for Italy, and he was training. I was worried. I was like, oh no, is he got injured? But he was training today, so that looks fine. Mosquera didn't play the second game for the under-21s for Spain, even though he captained them in the first game. Again, I was like, oh no, there's an injury with Saliba injured, but he was in training today. So I just think as a whole, it's very rare I say this, but it's been a really good international break for Arsenal, and I do think that will help coming back into the Premier League.
Massively. I mean, we don't even mention someone like Lewis Skelly as well. He got a nice bit of a rest. Eze too. It's great. very few of these players, and this is the joy of signing good players from good nations that have a lot of successes. Very few of them are coming back with any anything to. We haven't even mentioned Hincapié, by the way.
No, I'll tell you what, that was a compilation I enjoyed watching his
Man of
performance
the match.
against.
Did you see how he celebrated his man of the match performance?
I saw him with a glass of beer.
A crisp Pilsner, I believe it is.
What was that about? Were they match sponsors or something?
Yeah, that's what the man of the match award gets in Ecuador.
I saw the
5 goals
picture.
conceded in 18 games by Ecuador.
That's incredible, isn't it? Unbelievable record that. They finished second in qualifying, didn't they? Yeah, yep. Brazil sneaks in. They were 5th, I think. But yeah, I saw a picture of him holding that beer. And my initial thought was someone had photoshopped it. You know, I saw it. I was like, what's that about? It's a Photoshop picture of him a beer. But then I realized it was actually, something I'd expect in Germany rather than.
I mean, if you're playing those games in Quito, I would presume that beer goes to your head quite quickly.
I bet it would. It was big as well. But yeah, that was in it. I really enjoyed that compilation of him in that game. Real great tackler, but bombing forward, getting on the overlap, also playing sort of centrally at times as well. He does look like a really. I think he's going to be a player that we'll love. I really, really do.
Yeah, I'm so ready. I mean, we're going to come on to our predicted 11.
He's not going to play this weekend.
No, I really don't think he is. But I think we'll see him in some capacity. And
do you think? Just sort of continue on him. Do you think? I spoke about this in my show this morning. The left-sided options at Arsenal now are really, really interesting. I think how Arteta is going to use them. Do you think we're going to see sort of partnerships forming with sort of specific players? So whoever's playing at left back, do you think they'll have a favoured left winger ahead of him? Say Hincapié and Eze, for example. Eze drifts inside, Hincapié gets on the overlap. We're going to start seeing that more with like Calafiori and Martinelli. I don't know, but then when Hincapié starts, does that mean that basically Eze is going to start most of the games? Do you reckon that's the case?
It's really worth doing and trying and seeing what works, because the ultimate argument in favor of doing that, of having those capsules that you kind of play them and then you play a different group, is the right hand side. I mean, when it feels like forever since we've got to see it, and I hope it won't be too much longer, but when you have Ødegaard, Saka and Ben White, it is, Arsene Wenger used to call them automatisms, didn't he? And they just move without having to look at each other, without having to think. And that will take time. But if you could get that with, when Lewis Skelly's playing, he's sort of attacking more inverted spaces, and Martinelli then is staying wide. But maybe, if it's Hincapié or Calafiori, they're going on the overlap to allow Eze to drift in field. Yeah, that's when you really start clicking as a team. And it wouldn't surprise me. I think a lot of smart managers have kind of looked to do that. I remember Pochettino did it really well with his fullbacks at Tottenham. And I do think the next step, when you've got almost 2 starting 11s, is to kind of keep those 11s together, or at least like the key pockets of them. Like, you just take, this is our left flank, and we'll use the Eze left flank, or we'll use the Martinelli left flank. Kind of, I think that could be really effective and a real challenge for opponents to game plan to, if you could just have these 2 different pods that play completely different ways. I'd like to see it. And I think there's
we haven't even mentioned cross-side. I mean, it's been ages since we've had that many left-sided options, isn't it? We've been so right-side orientated for so long, but suddenly you look at the strength and depth down the left-hand side. It is great. You mentioned Ben White there. I mean, he returned today, so White's back, which is great. The hope was he was going to be back after the international break, and he's back training now, which is, it's great for him, great for Timber as well, I think. Yeah. And it just, adds to the squad. Christian Norgard, remember him? He's
please pronounce his name correctly.
Sorry, go on then. You tell me.
How did he say it?
Isn't that food? Isn't that some sort of?
Have you seen you've seen the clip I'm sort of referring to?
Isn't that some sort of food?
Did you not see the clip I'm hinting at?
I have not seen the clip that you're. Christian Norgard, come on.
There's a Premier League, they get everyone to
pronounce the names correctly. Video.
Yeah. Dig out how Christian Norgard pronounces his name.
I love when they have like a classic Englishman in that, and it's like Ben White.
Sean Dyche.
It's like, really?
A great one is when he goes, Tyrone Mings, Roan Mings. But anyway, you will not be able to say Christian Norgard's name properly, but you will know you're saying it wrong.
Okay, I'll accept I'm saying it wrong, but I'm still going to call him Christian
We
Norgard.
have to. We can't. Our mouths are not shaped
No.
to use the Danish language.
But he is back as well. So White's back, Norgard's back. No sign of Saka yet. No sign of Saliba yet. No sign of Havertz, obviously, yet. I think Saka, there was maybe a little bit of a slim hope he could be ready for Forest. But given, like you said, we've got Champions League next week. We've got City next week. If there's any chance of him coming back soon, I think they'd allow the Forest game, wouldn't you? I think all eyes would probably be on that City game. And when you got someone like Madueke in the sort of form that he's in, he can comfortably play on the right-hand side, and then you can do whatever you want on your left. So let's move on to that Forest game now. Obviously, certain managers going to be in the dugout for Nottingham Forest in that game. You couldn't honestly script it, could you? That Ange has come back. Edu's won that battle. Edu and Kia have won that battle against Nuno. Nuno's gone. Ange is in. I'm sure he's going to get a really warm welcome and a congratulatory welcome for winning the Europa League from the Arsenal fans on Saturday. What do you make of that appointment, first of all, before we get onto the game itself? Are you a fan? Are you happy to see Ange back in the Premier League?
I'm happy to see Ange back in the Premier League because he is, as we like to say, a character, although pity the Nottingham Forest journalists that have the temerity to sort of ask him a question when results aren't going his way. He is very much from the Jurgen Klopp school of...
He is. Don't ask him, when they concede from a set piece, don't ask him about having a set piece coach. It won't go down very well.
Yeah, heaven forbid that people might just like you to explain why you're doing what you're doing, and that these people that are asking those questions, where we can conduit that information to supporters that are paying your wages. And apparently you don't have to. You're not answerable to anyone. But those things do, as long as you're not the one asking the question, those things do make for great content. I kind of get why Nuno had to go, beyond the fact that Marinakis likes Postecoglou and the Greek connection. I see no case to be made for hiring him. It just isn't, like, you haven't got a squad there that's set up. Even with some of the new guys like McAtee, I'm not sure that Postecoglou is the guy to coach them. Are you going to have Nikola Milenkovic playing our kamikaze high line?
Hopefully on Saturday.
Surely not. That was everyone's initial reaction. Was like, he's going to do the high line at the Emirates, and then you do think he's not. That would be mad.
Oh, no, you'd be crazy. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that.
But I mean, he will at some stage. And
it's who we are, mate. It's who we are.
I think it's a bizarre appointment. I think you have to kind of know the squad you have and appoint the manager that fits within that. I mean, kind of weirdly, if Guardiola were to up and leave City, you could talk me around to someone like Ange taking that job, and that would make more sense than him taking the job of a team that don't like possession. I don't think you can just flip a switch and make those.
It sounds like that Marinakis and Edu don't like being a team that don't like possession. So maybe this is it's a start of transitioning away from what Nuno sort of turned him into and going down a different route. Yeah. Obviously, it worked with Nuno. He had a great season with them. But
there are sort of managers on the in between, aren't there?
Yeah, there are. It's arguably the biggest shift in sort of ethos and profile that I think I've seen from a managerial change, going from Nuno to Ange. It's genuinely mad. It really, really is. I wonder if that's going to confuse. But I mean, I don't think he goes into the training ground this week, whenever he took his first session yesterday, maybe, or today when a lot of the players get back from international duty. I don't see in 2 days he goes, right, rip up all of that. We're going to stand on the halfway line. We're going to push really, really high. He's got to do it slowly. So I don't think it's going to make a difference in terms of how they set up at the Emirates. I'd be stunned if it did. He'd be crazy. I mean, you imagine Victor Yokos will be licking his lips at the thought of them playing a high line, him being able to drift over to the left-hand side. And if they're going to do that, then I'm going to vouch in a minute that Eze has to be starting. But if they're going to play like that, then maybe it's a Martinelli game, to be honest. But let's talk about Forest then. So, okay, give me your 11 first, then I'll give you mine. Who's the 11 that starts? If you were in charge, who do you start on Saturday?
Yeah, Raya, Timber, give Ben White some time. Raya, Timber, Mosquera, Gabriel, Calafiori, Zubamendi, Rice, Erdegaard, Madueke, Gyökeres, Eze. Simple, nothing too complex there. We're not going to try and we'll leave the rotation. Maybe we'll leave the rotation till they go to Bilbao, get the game won, get some momentum going, and by all means unload the bench when it turns out that he did play a high line and you've got a unique opportunity to get Gabriel Martinelli in form. But yeah, I bet that's not too dissimilar to yours.
That is the same as mine. I think. What was it again? So it was midfield was Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard. Then it was Madueke right, Eze left.
Yeah,
Gyökeres up top. Yeah, it was my team. Same team as me. Yeah, I feel cool. We agree on something for once.
I know. How are we going to fill the time now?
I think I just heard another rumble of thunder at the moment. At the moment that happened. Yeah, I really do. I mean, I've got a question actually. Let me see if I can find the right one before I bring this up on screen, because I've been talking about this a lot, and it's I just feel like you've got to be playing Eze in this game. I think this is the right one. Yeah, it's from Sam. So Charles has been saying in recent days that Eze has to start this weekend. That's a general consensus, and I should underline that if I were picking a team, I'd start Eze. But does he have to start? Just like the safer choice with Marino at Anfield, I could absolutely see Mikel going to Trossard in own quantity, while Eze still hasn't trained with the team much because of international break. And we're also still adapting to Gyökeres. Could Trossard actually be the more sensible starter in that case, rather than trying to link up with the whole new front three, Madueke being new also? Again, I'll underline, I would pick Eze. I can just see the case for not starting him yet, which good points from Sam. And I don't think I'm saying he has to start. I would start him, and I want to see him start. I think after Martinelli's performance at Anfield, and again, I don't want to dig Martinelli out because it always sounds like you are, and I don't want to be doing that. But he's just not been in great form, has he? He's had a good run at the start of the season. He's had all 3 games. I think he started all 3 games.
Yep.
Oh no. Madueke started ahead of him on
Leeds
against Leeds. Yeah. So he's had 2 starts. He had pre-season, and he's just not really pulled up any trees, has he? So I think the time is right to try something new on that left-hand side. And while Trossard is, fit and a good player, I just feel like you've got to be starting Eze now. He doesn't need a massive adaptation period. He knows the Premier League so well. He's had a few training sessions. I mean, he's got to be starting this game, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm fully with you there. I think it would be a real pity not to unleash him, and I think he does fit quite well if Forest play the way we expect Forest to play. I just want to keep riling up Trossard. We know how good he is when he's angry. I mean, he's also someone that I think this season, now that it looks like he's staying and the Turkish interest never really materialized into much as we speak, you never know. I think he could still have a really valuable role in this team for those games where Arsenal are attacking a busy penalty area. The ball is going to be dropping around the box. I think Trossard is really well suited to that. But I think this season, I don't really see that he will often have a case to start games. I think the sort of ideal for Trossard is almost like a Solskjaer role. If he could be happy with that for a season, winning, competing for trophies as an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you chuck him on when Arsenal need a goal. That suits him really well. But what I really agree with Sam is I wouldn't be surprised at all. It would feel incredibly Mikel with everyone clamoring for Eze, everyone in their long sleeve third kits with Eze 10 on the back. You just see the 11 and it's Leandro Trossard off the left.
I'll tell you what, the long sleeve third kit looks really, really good.
Sensational.
It looks really, really good. I went up to the game against Leeds with my mate Mark, and he was wearing it. And yeah, I hadn't seen it before, and it just looks. I don't normally like long sleeve kits. I'm not someone who really likes it. But I think it looks really good. The whole third kit looks really good, to be fair.
Well, it was notable, I should say, that Dua Lipa agrees with you, and she went third kit short. Not unclear on number. Dua, if you're watching,
when did she do that?
I've seen it floating around on socials. Picture of her in the.
Is that not a Photoshop? Because she did a picture. I don't know what's real and what's not, but every football team has been photoshopping their kit on Dua Lipa.
I believe the original is, but I might be. I mean, just thank you, world of AI. You've made it impossible to know what's real and what's not. But I was under the impression that the initial one was her in the Arsenal third kit.
She's an Arsenal fan, isn't she?
Get in touch, Dua. You
So
know where to find
the first
us.
one I saw was Borussia Dortmund, and then I saw everyone quote tweeting all other club accounts quote tweeting Borussia Dortmund's one and putting their kit on it. So I figured that
You telling
Dortmund.
me Dua Lipa has got a Borussia Dortmund kit? I'm not buying that.
I don't know. Maybe she's a bit of a hipster. Hipster, is that the right word? Yeah.
I think.
And
Well,
everyone, all
that's
the
the.
hipsters love Borussia Dortmund. Like I
I think that's gone
I bet
now,
you've
hasn't
got
it?
Borussia Dortmund kit, haven't you?
No, but I should get one. I'm thinking one of them again, long sleeve. I'm thinking. You remember when it was a sort of slightly green yellow,
Uh-huh.
and you know when they were like winning the Champions League in the 90s.
Yeah.
Was it Continental tires, or there's a big
Yeah, I
sort
think
of
it was.
C in the middle? Yeah,
Lars Ricken, that goal, Lars Ricken, wasn't it?
Firing up classic football shirts the minute I get off it.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for your comment, Sam. Appreciate that. I can't believe we've agreed on the same starting 11, mate. That really doesn't happen very often at all. We do have. I might bring this one up as well before we quickly go on to Chelsea, and then we have got some other questions. But there was one other one. This is it. It was the first one. Sorry, let me bring that one out. So it was on Saliba's injury and Mosquera. It comes from DJD. So it's a question for you and James. With Saliba out for the upcoming weeks, do you think Arteta will consistently play Mosquera or perhaps someone else? Or do you think we'll see more variance in the defence? So we've both gone for Mosquera on Saturday. I'll be very surprised if it's not him on Saturday. He plays so well at Anfield. The fact that Arteta threw him on at Anfield in that situation as well. I know, there wasn't many other options. He didn't have White on the bench or anything like that at that point. But the fact he put him on there without hesitation, seemingly, in a game like that, in an atmosphere like that, shows that he trusts him. And to be fair, Mosquera's not put a foot wrong in any game I've seen him play for Arsenal yet, whatever the sort of circumstance. So I think he definitely starts, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. And I would say I don't see him sort of varying it, to be honest, unless he has an absolute shocker or something like that and his confidence is rocked. But I think it'll just be Mosquera for Saliba as long as Saliba's out.
Well, the only logic would be just, I think Mosquera would play all the big games. I think Mosquera will play against City. But maybe, especially when Ben White is good to go and good to start, maybe one of White or Timber shuffles across next to, it would definitely be Gabriel, I think, in those games. And then you play the other one at right back. That would be the sort of maybe case. But I think Mosquera will be the main starter until Saliba comes back.
Yeah, no, I think he will. I don't think he'll hesitate to play him against City and Haaland. I think he'll want that sort of. I see sort of Mosquera dovetailing pretty well with Gabriel, sort of physically as well, in that sort of battle that they all, Saliba and Gabriel love against Haaland. I think Mosquera will be quite up for that from what I've seen from him. So no, I agree. I think he'll play pretty much every game. He might rest and rotate, depending on how long Saliba's out for. We'll find out more from Mikel tomorrow. Obviously, the reports in France are 3 to 4 weeks. I haven't had that confirmed yet from anyone that I've asked, so I'm not sure if that's correct or not, and it'll be interesting to see if Mikel says anything on it tomorrow. Doubtful, but he might. You never know. But yeah, I think it'll be Mosquera. Maybe Champions League. He might make a. No, I suppose it's game one though. He'll go full strength. He won't make changes for game one of the Champions League.
Well, it's away to Bilbao. I don't think he will. Next one is Olympiacos. He might. Maybe. There's some vengeance to be had there.
Yeah. Well, Olympiacos, that memory of that Aubameyang miss in the last minute of extra time against Olympiacos, I don't think I'll ever get over that one. The Neuer, were you there for that? You were, weren't you? You were downstairs in the mix zone when Marinakis came through and gave the whole stadium COVID afterwards. Yeah, we were down in the mix zone afterwards. Of course we were.
The UK's first super spreader event.
It was Marinakis super spreader at the start of the.
I think one day I would love us to do a pod. Because had you left? You had probably just left Football.London by then?
Yeah, I was a goal during that.
We were sort of on the daily beat, both of us. The experience of covering Arsenal specifically around 2019 to 20, up to and including COVID, was I would honestly claim like covering no other club in English football ever. Right the way down to, I don't want to sort of dob anyone in, but the experience of sort of realizing you'd been in a press conference with Mikel Arteta when he had COVID right at the start of the COVID outbreak. I think I'll save all that for a separate podcast or a book, but the stories to tell from that are quite wonderful.
Yeah, the COVID era football, the sort of just the memories of what it was about was just absolutely mad. Some of the stories. in that. There's so many memories of like the Southampton game when I was sat directly behind the bench and I had Ozil in front of me with his umbrella, that famous picture. I had Auber and Lacazette come in, and I could see they were really annoyed at Eddie over something, and they were rolling their eyes at each other. You were in a position that you were never in before, and you just saw so much stuff. And it was so cold, and during the COVID era, there's memories of being in random seats around the stadium, not in press boxes on your own, in like -10. I mean, so lucky because we were one of the select few able to actually still go to football during that time. But like you said, the stories from that era was absolutely crazy. Right, before we get on to some questions, obviously big news from Premier League. Well, Football Association have actually put the charges of Premier League investigation into them, are still going. But Chelsea have been hit with a number of charges. Here we go. How many was it? 74 charges have been brought against Chelsea by the Football Association with breaches of regulations J1 and C2. With agents and all different sort of things, working with intermediaries. So it's all about transfers and third-party investment, all that sort of stuff. 74 charges between 2009 and 2022. Primarily, they occurred between 2010-11 and 2015-16. Chelsea have until 19th of September to respond. So big news. I mean, we must say that Chelsea sort of self-reported this, didn't they? And so they're sort of saying, look, we've done the right thing here. We've self-reported it, blah, blah, blah. We shouldn't be punished, I imagine, is their excuse for it. Or we shouldn't be punished as badly as maybe we could be. So what are your thoughts on it? And I'm sure you've sort of looked into it a lot more than I have anyway.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, this is all from the sort of Roman Abramovich era. You're looking at deals like Eden Hazard signing, Willians, Samuel Eto's, but it's a lot of charges. And I don't think anyone, myself included, really could sort of say, how many transfers is this involving? What were the sort of sporting benefits that Chelsea got? And I think Chelsea's insistence would be, oh, look, these were sort of, my suspicion would be that their defense would look something like, these were payments that shouldn't have been made, but it was about greasing the wheels to get these transfers done. I think there's a sort of pretty compelling case against that of like how much of the reason why you're in the position you are now as a team that's always sort of a lock for top four kind of comes back to, or, around top four, comes back to your rule breaking under Roman Abramovich. I think obviously it seems to me, the FA could go very hard on this, could be all the way up to points deductions. Pretty clear from the way Chelsea have handled this that they're looking to maybe get something that looks more like a fine. I have sympathy with the argument that, like, look, we didn't do this. This isn't on our watch. Don't punish our fans and our players for something that we didn't do. But, like, for me, the big point is, you are where you are because of the brilliant players you're able to sign, like Eden Hazard. And it doesn't matter whether they would have signed for you anyway. If you made these off-book payments, you've kind of got them illicitly. And
I spoke to Dick Law. I did an interview with Dick Law, and they really wanted Eden Hazard, but Chelsea blew him out the water. They couldn't sign it. And how could things have gone differently if Chelsea hadn't got the deal done the way they did, and Arsenal managed to get him? How things could have gone differently for both clubs? I'm not saying they definitely would have done, but that's why I'm not having the argument of this wasn't 100%. On our watch. I'm just not having that argument. I
don't buy it at all. I don't, and I think it will. I just don't know what the sanction will be. That's the really hard one to tell. Like the only example I can think of was sort of Tevez and Mascherano, and that was a huge fine on West Ham at the time. It was like $5.5 million. That's 2 deals. I don't know the exact number of charges, but you look at what Chelsea are alleged to have done. Blows that out of the water, and it does change what they could achieve as a football club. Hazard won them trophies, won Leicester trophies famously. So did Willian as well. These are big club-changing transfers. And I personally am of the view you can only mitigate so much because the ownership's changed, because you still had all that success and it still positioned you to be the big team you are now.
Yeah. And that is just the FA. The Premier League are conducting a sort of their own investigation into it as well. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. But definitely big news when it comes to the Premier League. Right, let's go for a couple of questions, a couple more questions before we wrap this one up. This is quite interesting, I thought, from Chame83. It says, how much of the media Sky Sports, Jamie Carragher narrative is based on the fear of Arteta. There is a big win now or he must leave agenda being pushed. But as far as I can see, Arteta has been the biggest rival to Liverpool City in the last few years, and that doesn't look like changing. He's been the second best manager in the Premier League for the last 3 years and was the joint third best manager in the Champions League last season. Do you think this is all just deployed to derail Arsenal and keep the Northwest clubs at the top of the tree? And how do we change this narrative and stop it spreading as Arsenal fans? I mean, you can. You can't stop the narrative that Sky Sports push, such as the monopoly that they hold over the Premier League. I thought this was interesting because I don't really sort of see it in my view that that's what Sky and Jamie Carragher are doing. I do always feel that a lot of the rival fan narrative about Arteta and how he has to go for them, and I feel that is more down to fear of Arsenal because Arteta has made Arsenal serious again, and I think rival fans hate that and they would love to see the back of him because he has made Arsenal serious again, even if he hasn't got them over the line. I'm not sure myself that the media narrative is really aimed at that myself. I just think it's a narrative that they know they can push, but I don't think it's really aimed at having sort of club bias in the background. Dick Carragher thinking, oh, it'd be handy for Liverpool if Arteta went.
I think there's always my one critique of Arteta. It's not even a critique. You got to do what's honest to you, but he doesn't play the game, does he? He's not. He's not one to charm the media. You wouldn't really kind of see him go on Monday Night Football. You wouldn't, to the best of my knowledge, you wouldn't kind of see him take the big names of punditry out for dinner to have a long sit-down conversation and really explain to them why he's doing what he's doing. And I think kind of those of us that cover him on a regular basis we just accept that. But I think you see this not even just with with Sky Sports, but I think even the sort of upper echelon of sort of newspaper writers, for instance, and TV hosts, because they're not getting charmed by Arsenal and Arteta, they just have a little bit less sympathy for him. It's all kind of natural, isn't it? We're all guilty. This is a relationship business, and I think all of us tend to be, to some degree, guilty of letting those personal relationships inform our judgment. We're always conscious that we shouldn't, but we're all human. And I do think that maybe Arteta could be friendlier with the media at large. I mean, he's fine to us, but you know what I mean? Play the game.
Yeah. I'm glad he's not, to be honest. I don't think anyone should be friendly to Jamie Carragher or Gary Neville. The written rule. Max has got in touch. He says, with so much talent on the left side of defence and Norgard not fit. Oh, he is fit now, Max. He is fit. Should Arteta work on shifting MLS to become a 6 behind Zubimendi? Given MLS's age difference to Zubimendi, it could be the best thing for him and Arsenal in the short term, long term. I mean, we were talking about the left-sided options. I mean, he'll play minutes, MLS, but it is, you sort of look at those options now and you do think, oh my God, where does Miles play? Where does he get enough minutes to continue his development? And this time last year, I'd have said, oh, he's not going to go. He's not going to get moved into midfield. But I am looking at it now thinking he might need to be moved into midfield just to keep playing and developing and get some minutes. I don't think he's regularly going to start there, but I do wonder if this season we will see him more as an option, off the bench and stuff like that to come on in that midfield position.
We've seen that Arteta's willing to do that. We saw him get the odd minutes at 8 last season. I think looking at the state of the squad now, like Max says, I think you could try to mould him into that 6. You kind of got to be open to where his development takes you, but also have like an idea of what you want Miles Lewis-Skelly to be delivering for Arsenal in 4 or 5 years' time.
Do you see him as a 6? I don't.
I think he's got all the skills, though.
I just think he's more box to box than a 6. I don't really see him sort of sitting and staying, if you see what I mean.
But his sort of security on the ball, his passing range isn't quite there yet, but his security on the ball is so effective.
Right, sorry about that. I'm sure that's probably just glitched as I've tried to edit it very badly, but my internet did just cut out. So apologies for that. We were right in the middle of talking about Miles Lewis-Skelly at that unfortunate time. You were talking about him transitioning into a 6. I was saying I wasn't quite sure if that was a position for him. So the floor is yours. Continue where you were when we left off.
Yeah, I think a lot of the skills are already there for a player so young. I mean, most of all the possession security. He plays kind of as one of the 6s when he inverts a lot as well. I think the pressure would be on him more if he was defending as a 6. I think that can be a little bit more challenging. Always remember Callum Chambers talking about how difficult it was moving from that defensive line into midfield and having to have eyes in the back of your head. But we forget how young he is, and I think I'm always of the. I say this every time. Viewers and listeners are probably getting bored of it, but you've just kind of got to really allow young players' development to guide you a little bit. You can't sort of have this plan that's set in stone that Ethan Ranieri in 2028, 29 will play as a left winger, or Miles Lewis Skelly in 2027 will get most of his minutes at left 8. You've got to see, and I believe that if the path broke that way, Lewis Skelly could be a very helpful alternative to Zubimendi. And what great players to learn from Zubimendi and Norgard. They'll guide him well, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they will. I still see him more myself as a kind of an 8, more of a box to box than a 6. But I get your point there. We've got one last question from Pete, who says, question for you and James. Do you think we will see Arteta play either Rice or Zubimendi in games and play with more attacking left 8 as they Marino and Ranieri? Is that Forest game an opportunity to do it? Do you think we're more likely to see that when the Champions League game starts? I'd personally like to see it, but do feel he's likely to always play Rice and Zubimendi if both are fit and available. And we'll more likely see Norgard fill in when they're not interested, in your views. I mean, I would love to see, on occasion, not all the time, but on occasion, I would love to see one of Rice and Zubimendi on the bench and have Eze maybe as a left 8, and then he can play Martinelli or a Trossard. I would love that in certain games. I think we will see that in game as well, if the game dictates that. If Arsenal need a goal or anything like that, we've got opportunities to really do that now. So I do think we'll see it. I agree. I think the most likely option is most of the time it will be the pair of them together. But I do like the prospect of just one of them at times, especially in home games against a low block, of having Eze centrally and still having another attacker out wide.
Yeah, I think specifically with the Forest game, my instinct is no, not just because they're not that bad, but also Rice's qualities as a counter presser that can allow you to shut down some of the breaks that Forest will presumably try to have, assuming that they're going to be playing something that's more Nuno-ish than Postecoglou. But I agree with you. I think we will see it, and I think we'll see it from the start. Rice and Zubimendi will play the big games, but you don't kind of build yourself such a deep squad and then run Rice and Zubimendi into the ground such that in April and May they are, I'd say they're running on fumes. I don't know what it takes to get Declan Rice running on fumes, but hopefully the viewers will know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I agree. Things with Rice, you kind of need him on the pitch for his set pieces most of the time. Yeah. You take him off the pitch, that's such a huge weapon that sort of disappears at that point. And so maybe if you are going to rest one of the two, it will be Zubimendi more often than not, because you just want Rice on the pitch as much as possible. And I think that's it for today, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for listening. Cheers, James. Are you at the Emirates on Saturday?
I am. Will I see you in the press box?
You will see me in the press box, yes.
I know why you've done that.
The breakfast. Saturday morning, 12:30 kickoff. That means Emirates press room breakfast, and that is not to be missed. Everyone, that is not the reason I've done that, but it is certainly in the back of my mind that is going to be available on Saturday. I've got to go there really early. I've got to brave the armory before I go in to try and
get long sleeve.
To get Gyökeres 14 printed on the back of my son's kit. He really wants it.
Which font?
I haven't chosen yet. Actually, I'll have to ask him. It's his choice. So yeah, I've got to do that on Saturday morning. And I don't know how big the queue's going to be, but I'm going to try and get there early doors and then head in, have my breakfast after that. Reward myself for standing in the queue for that long with Emirates breakfast. So I'll see you then, mate. Everyone else, I'll be back in the morning with my usual regular show. Anything you want me to discuss in that, as usual, get down into the comments. And then I'll be heading off to London Colney for Mikel Arteta's press conference.
I'll see you there as well.
Oh, you're going to that as well? Great. I will see you there. All right, mate. Take it easy. Speak to you soon.
Speak soon. Bye-bye.